Review.
Hunted the Demon's Forge is a game that had promise, and a game you'll want desperately to like. This cooperative action romp is part shooter, part hack and slash, and part role-playing game, and when it delivers, it can be good fun. The problem is that it can't always deliver. Technical sloppiness and tons of small issues add up quickly, giving Hunted this sense of being thrown together, but never tightened up. Great games are often great because the little things can mean so much. This is one of those times where the little things all detract. If Hunted were more ambitious, it would be easier to forgive the clumsy problems, but this is a fairly straightforward game that simply wasn't executed well. That doesn't mean you can't have some fun, and Hunted has some pretty neat aspects worth admiring, but this is a game mainly for patient gamers that can overlook the issues and see it for what it could have been and almost was.
Down there. They're transporting the prisoners by boat, and I'm sure it's not for a pleasure cruise.
The only thing downriver is the city of Lear. They'd never condone this.
Worry about that later. We've got company coming up the hill.
And get to the catapults. Let's see how they like it.
In Hunted, you control one of two mercenaries. There's Caddick, a bald-headed melee specialist, and Alara, who's handy with a bow. Both characters have both ranged and melee weaponry, but each has a very clear specialization. Should you play on your own, the AI takes over for the other character, but you can also join a friend in split-screen play or online. Forget split-screen co-op though, all the wasted screen space makes it a frustrating disaster. In any case, the game is sort of a combination third-person hack and slash and cover shooter. You can crouch behind cover and shoot your bow, and your sprint is the semi-uncontrollable roadie run Gears of War made so popular, although it isn't a very good fit here. Or you slash up your enemies with axes and swords, and both characters can cast spells. As you progress, you find new weapons and shields, though there isn't a huge variety of loot, so you'll come across a lot of useless junk. It's also frustrating that there's no damage per second stat when comparing loot with your equipped items. There's slow, medium, and fast bows, for example, but without a DPS stat, you're never sure whether the fast bow you come across is actually better or worse than the slow one you're using. That seems like a small thing, but this is a game that dies the death of 1,000 cuts. There are all sorts of seemingly minor things that make Hunted feel very unfinished and sometimes even misconceived. To pick up potions, you just walk over them, but you have to press a button to pick up coins. Why not just automatically pick up gold when you walk over it? You can perform finishers, but they take so long they can actually interfere in co-op play. Your partner could be getting murdered while you're performing some 10-second long animation and absolutely no help. Why even have them in there? A single button is used for all sorts of contextual actions, so when your buddy needs revival, you could activate a finisher instead. Scripting errors might force you to reload saves, characters jitter around and slide around in cover, and large enemies are put in cramped environments they have difficulty navigating. There's all sorts of stuff like this, and it makes Hunted the Demon's Forge feel incredibly unfinished. It looks murky, the lighting is poor, and the texture pop-in is alarmingly distracting. It feels very much like a budget game. And yet even with all these problems, fun is no stranger here. You can use your special moves together in interesting and cool ways. Alara will freeze foes from a distance, and Caddick smashes them with a hammer. One character can send enemies into the air, and the other will snipe at them. The game is mostly linear, with lots of invisible walls and knee-high hedges that you can't move past. And sometimes there are even invisible walls in dumb places that keep your arrows from hitting enemies. But there are still small detours where you might find enchanted weapons or other goodies, and combat is solid enough to entertain. You purchase and upgrade new skills as you progress, and you can only do so at specified locations where your partner must give permission. But that's actually a nifty touch that makes sense, since one player doesn't go off to battle while the other fumbles around in menus. And there's enough combat variety to help overcome the lack of enemy diversity and the poorly executed end boss. There's also a level creator included, which adds a bit of value on top of the 8-hour campaign. It's pretty simple, since all you're doing is creating a series of arenas. You unlock new stuff to use there with the gold you collect in the campaign, but earning the most interesting monsters and environments requires multiple playthroughs worth of gold. It's another one of Hunted's head-scratchers. Why withhold so much for so long? The rewards just don't fit the effort. Be warned, we had the game crash after delivering the final blow to the end boss, and thus had to deal with the supreme frustration all over again. But that's really Hunted the Demon's Forge in a nutshell. The bigger picture is solid and you've got pieces of a good game here, but the pieces don't come together well, and Hunted is clumsy and rickety, and at times practically broken. Could you have some fun? Absolutely. But Hunted the Demon's Forge is an underperformer that asks a lot out of you, but doesn't give a whole lot back.
Whoever you are, you're heroes. I know that much.
Heroes. Hardly.